Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Murder of Birds here, and today I'm bringing you my anime review for Beyond the Boundary Episode 4, also known as Kyoukai no Katana. Now, this episode was extremely good, probably my favorite so far, hands down. Personally, it was perfect. There was nothing that I could nitpick, nothing that was really wrong with it. We got a lot of information, a lot of action, especially, and it was just an overall great episode, and I really did enjoy it. I think I'm going to go back and watch it after this just because it was that good. But anyways, this episode is pretty much a continuation of the battle between Akihito and Mirai against the Hollow Shadow and this mysterious girl Sakura, which you don't know much about yet, but we find out more about her in this episode. But first off, several characters get showcased in different lights from what we've seen. Initially, we have Himuri, and Himuri is, from what I thought, he was really jokey. He was kind of serious in the aspects, he joked around with Akihito, and in the beginning of this episode, we find out that he's very powerful, he's very strong. He handled several dozen Yomu single-handedly. He was very fatigued afterwards, but the fact that he did that solo just gave me insight that he's a very powerful character, and I really did appreciate him, and I like him a lot more for that. I hope we learn more about him. But the primary function of this episode was definitely the Hollow Shadow. He has very sinister tricks throughout the episode. We see many different intricacies of how he deals with his opponents and how he tries to manipulate and trick them. One way is the fact that he's able to possess his enemies, much like he did with Mirai's friend Yui a few years back. And primarily, we see the first instincts of his trickery with the fact that he's able to manipulate his opponent's memories and form elaborate traps based on those memories. Forever staircases that you're just running up. In terms of this episode, it was escalators or whatever, and certain things like that was pretty weird. He also has the way of manipulating their emotions even more, to the fact that he was manipulating an image of Yui and pretty much trying to get Mirai under his control to some degree, and that's another form of trickery. Really good tactic. You gotta respect the fact that he's a really powerful Yomo to have these kind of abilities, and Mirai doesn't fall for it. Akihito's there to support her and help her out. She actually finds out that he has a physical weakness, a physical body. She goes crazy. She attacks him, weakens him, and distorts that whole realm of manipulation and stuff like that. And throughout that aftermath, we see the deadly destructive force of her blood powers. It's raining blood. And actually, I like that song, Raining Blood. But anyways, it's raining blood, and everything is just getting destroyed. Trees are dying as the blood's falling on them. The whole wasteland, the whole battlefield is barren and wasted with blood, with pools of blood everywhere. And she just, she looks miserable. She looks terrible. Sakura, which we also learn about her as well. We find out that Sakura has been fighting and attacking Mirai because she is the younger sister of Yui, the girl that Mirai killed a few years ago when she was under the Hollow Shadow's possession. And at this point, it's obvious that she's in it for revenge. She doesn't really say much. She just has a one-track mind, just wants to find Mirai and kill her and just get it over with. But she tries that a few times, but they end up avoiding her. They end up dodging her one way or another, and then she gets to end up fleeing for the episode. So we're definitely going to see her in later episodes, I feel, at least. But the later parts of this episode were what really, really got to me. Okay, so we have the Hollow Shadow, which he isn't dead yet. She just weakened him. He tries to possess Akihito, and at that point, Mirai is just has those reoccurring events of the exact same thing that's happening to him happened to Yui. But the fact is, Akihito's immortal, so the worst thing that he's going to deal with is pain. So she ends up going up against him. She stabs through him, splatters her blood throughout his body, gets rid of the Yomu, kills it, and that's that. But what happens next is really interesting, and it's what hooked me to this point of the episode. Up until now, Akihito's been very normal. He hasn't really shown any promise as far as a spirit warrior and anything like that. But we find out his half Yomu heritage is very important. He's half Yomu from his father, and from the episode we find out from Ayaka and Himuri that when his body gets into a critical condition because of the fact that Mirai attacked him, his Yomu instincts start kicking in. His instincts kick in, and it takes over his body, and it showed in this episode. He goes berserk. He literally loses himself, gives into his abilities. He's attacking everywhere. He's sending out these crazy shockwaves. He's destroying the barrier that they have to try to restrain him and suppress his powers, shooting crazy ass fireballs everywhere. Literally an entire different being. He actually transforms transforms to some degree. He gets these long nails. He has like these crazy ass jaws. His crazy jaw like opens up. He has crazy sharp teeth and all that. So it really did show that he isn't normal either, because in the last episode and this episode, Mirai and him were going back and forth to the fact that each one was telling the other person, hey, you're normal, you don't know me, you don't know what I've been through, I'm not normal, you're normal. And it's like, you don't know, like, they didn't know each other. You know, Mirai has that blood ability that really sets her apart from everybody else and makes her a loner and makes her isolated, and she doesn't feel normal even though Akihito is telling her she is. And at the same time, you know, Akihito seems like this normal high school kid who's just, you know, day-to-day kid, the fact that he's immortal, and then you have this other side of you, like this demon inside of you that makes you completely not normal, especially what's shown in this episode. And she ends up realizing that, and she, you know, she breaks down, she starts crying, she apologizes to him, and she ends up somehow suppressing his, you know, his Yomu instincts, and yeah, so she brings him back down to earth, and he wakes up, and when he wakes up, he says, what he says really got me. He says, "Not again," which turns out that this has happened before, and this brings me back to episode 2 of my review, when at the beginning, the opening was actually, he was in a field with a dead body there, and he was covered in blood, and I was just thinking, you know, was that the reoccurring event that he was talking about when he said, "Not again"? So I'm wondering, you know, what's his past with this ability, what's the past with the Yomu, and, you know, it affecting him personally, and everything like that. But yeah, so I loved this episode. I feel like through this episode, through what happened between Yomu, between Akihito, and between Mirai, their bond has grown stronger. Really want to see what's going to happen next. And a little last tidbit: the very end of the episode, if you watch past the credits, we find out a little something strange. Ayaka told Mirai that wasn't the hollow shadow that they fought, and she gave her 200 yen for the crystal that she gave, and it showed that at the end of the credits that the actual Yomu crystal was being presented by this really elderly old man, and it was being presented by Izuma, who was briefly at the battlefield, and, you know, she mentioned something about, you know, holding off the spirit world society with it. So that really got me as well, but, you know, curiosity is definitely what's leading me into keeping up with this anime. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in general. I love this anime so freaking much. I can't wait till next week. If you guys did enjoy this review, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I put out other anime reviews as well, but thanks a lot, guys, and I will definitely catch you guys next week. Peace.